Some of the most profound moments of a performance exist in that movie to me.
Hey guys, welcome back to the VHS Revolution show. My name is David Schumann, and today we are rewinding back to 1992 to talk about Spike Lee's epic, amazing, incredible Malcolm X. My guest is writer and director Qasim Basir. We had a great conversation about the film. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, welcome back to the VHS Revolution show. My guest is once again Qasim Basir. Qasim, welcome back, man.
Glad to be back.
So last time you were on the show, we talked about your film To Live and Die and Live. Now that it's out in the world, how has that been for you?
You know, these journeys, man, you're in the trenches for so long and it takes a while to get out sometimes. And when it does, you know, and especially when it has the intended effect to like open up conversations and really move people, and you know the incredible things people have said has been overwhelming, you know. So it's been great.
What's been the response from viewers?
People were just very moved and very impressed, you know, with the movie itself, and you know, just the technique, the look of it, the film making itself. So
do you still kind of pinch yourself a little bit, like wow, like I'm a filmmaker. I'm like really doing this shit?
yes, I am the most grateful person alive, one of them. You know, that I get to do this. You know,
Yeah.
it's not guaranteed. You know, unlike a lot of fields, you can sort of track over time where you'll be. Like a law firm, 3 years you're this, 5 years this, 8 years partner, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no natural track for what we do, you know, and we're in a day where a lot of people are checking out or leaving, you know. It's gotten harder, you know, as if it wasn't hard enough.
Right.
So yeah, I'm utterly grateful every day that I get to do this and that I still have ideas um and can still create.
So let's rewind back 33 years
Mhm.
to 1992 and your pick, Spike Lee's amazing film, Malcolm X. Why did you pick
Yeah.
Malcolm X?
I was a child in the theater watching that film, and it was very important to our community coming up. It was the moment I realized that you can really make some change with the film. That was like, wow, you know,
Yeah.
number one. And number two, I was raised in a Black Muslim community, and you know, all of our parents, I think we may have been the first like larger generation of Black people in America to be raised Muslim. That movement was really pushed and activated in a significant way by Malcolm X. There was a point where Malcolm, like in the movie too, like he goes to Mecca, comes back and is like, yo, I saw people from all colors, nationalities got together.
Yes.
I'm interested in doing that. My parents, my mom more so than my dad, were inspired by him as children. The entire community that I came up in had, in some way, was moved by him, by Muhammad Ali. You know, these figures who created this mass sort of conversion, because most Black people in America were Christian. You know, and so my mom too, my dad. You know, my mom was raised in Natchez, Mississippi, and Church of God in Christ. You know, and moved to Detroit when she was in her early 20s, and found that up here. So you know, it's significant to not only my movie going experience, but my life in general.
I noticed the movie doesn't shy away from his complicated nature, I guess you could say, you know, like
Mm.
he was very empowering, but he was also very critical. He was very hard on his people, on the people that were close to him. He was sometimes even hard on his wife, but he also was this great speaker.
Mm.
Have you had a chance to like see any of the film of the real Malcolm?
Oh yeah,
You have.
I've seen a ton. I've heard tapes and stuff that aren't even available to the public still. Like I know people who have Malcolm's speeches, and you know there are the ones that are cycled out there that are popular, but there are ones that they don't want out. And he was, man, was radical. And at the time he had to be, like it's like, what are we talking about? How else are you going to be in a time like that? What he saw, what he experienced. It's like the balance of like, if the pendulum is over here, then you got to like be over here. And he was watching racism in its purest form.
Yes.
He dealt with it personally with his family. His home was burned when he was a child. Like his father was executed, you know? Like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about? Like, how else can you be? He remains, from the time I was a child, probably my favorite person ever to live. I must have seen this movie 25 times in my life
Wow.
to see how he would stand in the fire, when no one cared, up in Harlem, speaking, being a decent person amidst a very difficult circumstance,
Yeah.
living with integrity, like that's not lost on me, especially today where it's just like, yeah, do whatever, it's like, bro, no, no, you still got to be decent. Like you still have to have integrity. You still have to have morals, and like there's got to be a floor, like
Absolutely.
we're seeing right now with even how our country is being run. Like there's no floor. Like no one cares. Like just do anything. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You can't do that, Like this is it's beyond the left, right, whatever. This is a social fabric of humanity, of saying like you cannot take a child from their parent. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's
Right.
like that is a clear
Yeah.
rule of social, And
Yeah.
so I think
Should be
about,
something you can't even argue with that.
yeah. And so, we're at this place, when I think of him, I just he was just like uncompromising in that. He's just like, no, here's what we're gonna do.
One of the things I love about the movie and the treatment of his character is the conversation about, where he's being interviewed by the reporters, and one of the women or the reporter says, "So you're anti-white?" And he says, "No, you said I'm anti-white." There's
Right.
there's there's this very, and then I love this scene where the white woman comes up to him before he gives a speech, and she's like, "What can I do?" And he's like, "Nothing."
Right.
And he just like keeps
Yeah.
walking, He really does feel angry. He's very angry, right? But he was able to redirect his anger into empowering speech versus violence, right?
Hmm.
All throughout the movie, it wasn't just about his relationship with other races, but also about his relationship with the black community.
At the time, he's like, this is a black thing, and we have to fix it as people together. We don't we and ourselves, we have to be reliant upon ourselves, and that's what that scene was about with her. It's just, we thank you, but
Right.
this is our issue, and we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
And our community needed a voice like his. It needed help, a leader like him at the time to step up and say the things that people weren't saying,
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very I the approach was very different than a Martin Luther King, because
I was
it's
just
like
thinking that. Yeah.
it's a fight fire with fire approach rather than turn the other cheek approach, And
Mm-hmm.
um, so I think it was necessary, but yeah, it was a thing about self-reliance on the community.
So I want to show you a couple things that I have some little
Okay.
memorabilia. I have the movie on VHS.
Oh, nice. The double joint.
Barely.
Yep,
It's
yep.
it's being held together by tape,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
by but it's two tapes. We used to have to watch
Yep,
these two tapes.
yep, yep.
And I actually remember when I saw the movie in the theater in 92, how old was I? Probably like 14 or something. I saw it with my dad,
Hmm.
and there was an intermission. And during the intermission, you would get up, you'd go to the bathroom, get something to
Yeah,
drink, come back, because it's an almost 3.5 hour movie.
yeah,
And I thought that was so cool. You
yeah.
know, the fact that the movie was so big and epic that it had an intermission. I also have both soundtracks. I have the Terrence
Wow,
Blanchard score and the song
wow.
soundtrack on
Yeah,
CD.
wow.
And I love the Terrence Blanchard score. It's just
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
my absolute
yeah.
favorites.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
There's more. I have this book.
Mm,
that details the making of the film as well as has the screenplay.
wow.
And I've had this, for 30 years or however. So the
Wow.
movie is 33 years old. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and I've had this on my shelf.
Incredible, man. That's
It's
wow.
amazing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. And then there's one last thing. So because I save everything, I have the Premiere magazine from 1992 with Spike and Denzel on the
What?
cover. So there you go.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Did you know that the production of this movie was really fraught?
Oh yeah.
Kind of like Malcolm had to fight to get his message out. Spike had to
Mm.
fight to get his film made. I don't think people nowadays really know just how kind of controversial a figure Spike Lee was in the 90s.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard for him to get things made. He's one of a kind, you know. It was like him, Singleton, a couple more cats back
Mm-hmm.
then, but yeah, he had to go and rely on some other folks. He had to go to Oprah. He had to go to a few other people to really get the rest of that money to get the film made.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that because that is just an amazing story. I remember seeing Spike on Inside the Actors Studio, and he told this story about the making of Malcolm X and how Warner Brothers pulled the financing from the late in the production, in post production, when they were editing it. I guess they wanted a shorter movie, and he was like, "There's no way," and so it was this like constant battle between Spike and Warner Brothers and the Bond company over
Yeah,
over money, and Spike was like, "Why do these people get $50 million or $40 million, but you won't give me
right, right,
33 million dollars?" Even in 1992,
right.
that's still for the epic scope that this movie has
Yeah, I mean it's
is
epic.
not a
It's
lot.
epic. It's period and several periods. You know,
Yes.
it's all over it's international. You know, it's I mean it was all of that.
Yeah.
It was an ensemble piece. It was like it was Denzel Washington. You know, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. And this humongous
which
cast.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Delroy Lindo, which
Yeah.
one of my friends who I've done two films with, Roger Guenveur Smith, who's
Mm, I love
the
him.
guy that's robbing the home. He puts the gun to his nose. Is like, is that the wop nose or the nigger nose? Is that the what?
And he plays who does he what's his character's name in Do the Right Thing? The guy selling the
Oh yeah, yeah,
photos.
yeah.
Smiley. He
Yep.
played Smiley. And he's in To Live and Die and Live, right? He
Yes.
has
Yep.
one
Yep.
scene. So Spike, when faced with this budget issue and this pushback from Warner Brothers, he, like you said, he called a lot of his famous friends. He called Bill Cosby, he called Oprah
Yep.
Winfrey, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Janet Jackson, and basically asked them to give money. And in the interview on Inside the Actor Studio, he gets very quiet and very emotional about it because he said he told them, you can't, this is not a tax write off. Like, you're probably not going to get your money back. And they were like, Spike, it's okay. Like, it's okay. And he was so humbled by their generosity.
Mm.
And they combined wrote him enough checks, gave him enough money so that he was able to finish making the film.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just really, really incredible. A guy named Arnold Pearl wrote the first draft, and then Spike came in and rewrote it. And that was the film that was made, was from Spike's draft. And watching the film, I was just like, how does one man write this movie? It is so
Epic.
full of
Yeah, I
of
know.
of character and detail and
Hmm.
all these speeches and all this information and all this emotion.
Right. Right.
It's just it's really a staggering movie. And it was initially supposed to be directed by this director Norman Jewison,
Right.
who
Right.
who had directed In the Heat of the Night,
Hmm.
and and he had the rights to direct it. And Spike, like, took him out to dinner and
Came in,
convinced.
yeah. He said,
Yeah.
you can't make this movie. You
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
you can't make this movie about Spike Lee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Black person has to make this movie. Yeah, and yeah, that was. I think that was the right move. You know.
It really was. I mean, Norman is a good director in his own right,
Yeah, of course,
but
of course.
Spike just knew that he had to be the one to make it,
Yeah.
and like you said, that was the right choice. And what's funny is that Jewison ended up directing Denzel in The Hurricane, like a few years
Yeah.
later, which is another biopic of
Yeah.
an important black figure. And The Hurricane is good, but it's not great, you know.
Right.
And it
Right.
kind of gives you a sense of
And he
what
wasn't,
Malcolm
and that's
X.
not Malcolm X. You know. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a black
exactly.
figure in all due respect.
Hurricane Carter.
But yeah, yeah. But this, I mean, Malcolm X is such a pivotal figure in the evolution and the story of the black community in America, in the black struggle, uh, black liberation, black power, like that. This movie started a movement. Like, remember the X people were like wearing the hats.
Oh yeah.
It was like the shirt. It was everywhere. I
Yep.
remember it being everywhere. I had my X hat and I had a shirt. But no, my uncle and my father, you know, who are both deceased now,
Mm-hmm.
um, took us to see that movie. It was like, I, I believe it was like, what day was that movie released? Was it in
It
October,
it was November.
November? Yeah,
I,
so it was like a Thanksgiving, and it's just so. I mean, it's just so relevant because I mean they're both gone now, and it's like all of the patriarchs. I was talking about this with To Live in my life, like died over the course of like 4 years or something. My father, my stepfather, both my main uncles, Um, so when I think of, figures like him, he remains just sort of in that place of like men that I looked up to my entire life.
I feel like another filmmaker might have tried to sand down just how important the Nation of Islam and being a Muslim was to Malcolm X, but
Hmm.
Spike doesn't. Like, the movie is as much about his religious, I guess if you want to call it, journey, as it is about racial relations in America, as it is about
Yeah,
all these other things. His his journey as a Muslim, or as a young man discovering the Muslim faith and then reckoning with that, it really is kind of what the movie is about. How he
yeah,
grows as a person. How do you feel about how the movie handled that?
yeah. It was very. I mean, it was profound. It was the first movie to ever really deal with that. It's. I talk about this all the time about people needing to be represented in film and TV, and that this community is rarely ever spoken of or presented on screen. And it was a very big task for Spike, and he's the guy to do it. I think that and it was about his evolution entirely. Because we saw him as, what was his name on the streets, Detroit Red. So we saw him in that world too. We saw him in prison. I think that's one of the biggest Oscar snubs in the history of the Academy Award. I
Absolutely.
mean, to see him go through that evolution, and I mean, bro went from, from a worker to a criminal to a prisoner to the nation to Malcolm X. It's like
Yeah.
crazy. And I mean, some of the most profound moments of like of a performance exist in that movie to me. Like, to this day, I get chills thinking about that moment where he walks in and first meets Elijah Muhammad, and
And he's
the
crying.
way he just like
Yeah.
he just becomes a child. I mean, he's just like, and And then this like tear drops. And I mean, I had never seen anything like that. To be this like gangster dude who's robbing this place with the gun, and to be Malcolm and to really emulate him. He became him.
Absolutely. 100%.
There's people that don't ever evolve,
Mhm.
and I don't I don't want to live like that. I want to always evolve. I want to, I'm inspired by that kind of journey. People will look at
Yeah.
you and be, oh, you're this. Oh, he's that. Like, you don't know. You don't know what that person's going to be. You
Right.
don't know what that person's going to go through and accomplish and become, and you don't know when.
You mentioned Denzel not winning Best Actor. Let's just talk about the Oscars a little bit. Spike has this history of getting snubbed at the Oscars, and that was until he finally won, I think, Best Screenplay for Black Klansman a few years
Hmm.
ago. But there was a huge kind of uproar when Do the Right Thing didn't get a Best Picture nomination in '89,
Hmm.
and Driving Miss Daisy won Best Picture. It was like the gap between what was happening in the Academy and in popular culture was no more obvious then. Um, and then Danny Aiello got a supporting actor nomination. He's great in the film, but that movie deserved, and I think it got a screenplay nomination, but that movie deserved a Best Picture nomination. And then a few years later, to have this movie Malcolm X, this like stunning achievement in cinematic and filmmaking, and it gets two nominations:
Right.
Denzel and Best Costume,
Yeah.
and that's it. And nothing to take away from the Best Picture nominees at the time. I love Unforgiven
Right.
and A Few Good
Right.
Men.
Right.
Those movies are great. A Few Good Men is one of my all-time favorite movies, but this kind of achievement, like, just doesn't come around, often. And
Right.
to not even recognize it, not give it a best, it should have been nominated, honestly. Best Picture,
Hmm.
Best Director, easy.
Yep. Yep.
Screenplay,
Screenplay. Yep.
cinematography for Ernest,
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
the score by Terrence Blanchard,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
the art direction, and the editing. It should have like
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
been nominated in
Right.
almost every
Right.
category. And then to have Denzel lose to Al Pacino, and again, I love Al Pacino. Scent of a Woman is a fine movie, but it's not Malcolm X.
I don't. It's there's a lot of politics involved in the Academy Awards.
It's interesting because at the time I remember, so the Academy back then was predominantly white and older. And while what we spoke about earlier about Spike being a controversial figure, it's like he wasn't being subtle in his messaging in Do the Right Thing and in Malcolm X. Like he was being very blunt, and I don't think people liked that or
Right.
knew how
Right.
to
Yeah.
accept that at the
Right.
time, which
Yeah.
is a shame.
Yeah. You had to be blunt with that film.
Yeah.
You had to be because that's how Malcolm X was.
And even his filmmaking, his visual style, uh, just in general, not even in these two movies, but in Mo Better Blues and Jungle Fever, and going
Hmm.
after this movie Clockers and He Got Game, like he's always just, even when for me his movies like maybe don't fully work, the filmmaking is always just so unique
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
specific to him.
Right. Right.
He's just amazing.
Yeah. That shot where he's just going down the street.
When he's like
His
on the
signature.
dolly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He is the one of the fullest expressions of black life on screen to ever to be, and in all of its ways.
One of my favorite movies of his, which is one of his smaller movies, is Get on the Bus,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
about the men going to the Million Man
yeah. I
March.
think Roger's in that too.
Yeah, he
I
is.
think Roger Hill, Hill Harper,
Hmm.
lot of guys. Yeah, I went down to the
Andre
Million
Brower.
Man March.
You
Yeah,
did?
yeah.
How old were you?
What year was the march?
Well, the movie was 96, so I think it was maybe 95. Maybe it was 96 as well. I don't remember
Maybe. So
exactly.
then I would have been 14, 13,
Wow.
13.
What was that experience like?
It was great. It
Yeah.
was excellent. I mean, it was. profound, it just was so many people. I was just like, but no, it was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I met Spike a few times.
You did?
Yeah, I had dinner with him once at this film
Wow.
festival. It was a very private dinner with
Hmm.
me, him, and like three other people, which was really cool. So
Wow.
I've gotten a chance to really talk to him and tell him how I've felt about this movie and his other works. And in fact, like when I was first starting off, he was at some like bar, and I'm with my homies, and I'm like, I think that's Spike Lee over there. They're like, man, ain't no Spike
Wow.
Lee, dog. I'm like, no, that's Spike Lee, man. I'm telling you. They're like, that's not Spike Lee. Why the hell would he just be at the bar? And I went up to him, and it was Spike Lee. I was like, Spike Lee? He's like, and he's just like nodded like this. And I'm like, look, man, I'm getting into film, and I'm really love what you've done. And I'm like, what advice, would you give? And
Yeah.
he's like, work hard. And at the time, I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, he
Yeah.
should be like, yeah, go young black man, and
Yeah.
come intern for me. But over time, I realized like those are the two big ones. You gotta work hard, and like before you make a thing. I just put up a post about this on my IG or whatever about
Hmm.
writing and rewriting and all this, and yeah, write a good script and that stay with me.
That's so special.
Yeah.
That's so great. Oh, so one of the things I want to talk about, you mentioned Angela Bassett. Their relationship is really, really important in
Hmm.
the film, especially in the second half
Yeah.
when they meet and he starts to kind of court her, sort
Right.
of.
Right.
They kind of go out on one date and then he calls her and like asks her to marry him.
Well, I know. I understood that entirely. With them. I remember
Yeah.
being in high school, and there was someone I was talking to that our parents kind of, we would see each other around, and we kind of liked each other. It's like, do you like so and so? It's just like, and
Yeah.
it's just like, well, no, but then it's like, well, she kind of likes you. Oh, she does? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, maybe.
Well, now I'm interested.
Well, now. And so, yeah, I got that. I got that scene entirely.
What I like is about their relationship is that they are both, I mean, yes, it happens quickly, but they do have the scene in the cafe when they're sipping the milkshakes, and they're both attracted to each other, but also by each other's intellect.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's found somebody who he feels like can challenge him, but it's not just physical, it's not just spiritual,
right,
it's intellectual as
right,
well.
right, right.
And then later in the film there's kind of a sequence, it's kind of two scenes where he's under more attack, and he comes home, they're in the living room after the kids have gone to bed, and he sits down with her and they're talking, and then it moves into the bedroom and it kind of becomes this argument. But those scenes between them are so important
Yeah,
because we see that he really cares, and he really is trying to be, he cares, and he's trying to be all things to all people in a way, you
yeah.
know
That's a
but
hard
he also
balance, man.
but he's also flawed. He's also trying to get out of there with like, I have work to do, and she's like, no, you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
you know and
yeah.
those
That's a
kinds of
hard
scenes, those
balance.
those tough scenes, you don't see that very often in movies.
With Malcolm X, like Malcolm X was never rich. Like they were struggling at times. But I think some people are just called for a lot more in this life. And not to say that that's not to say that some people are more important. Like I think we're all important, but some of those jobs are like harder. And his in this world was, and that's a hard thing to negotiate, to be away for months at a time, and to come home and try to still be a father, be a husband, but know that the world is burning. Know that you have to get out and speak. And
Yeah, and not just the world is burning, but they're trying to get him. They're trying to
right,
burn him.
right, right.
There's something I wanted to go back to, talking about Spike and his bluntness, which is the opening credits of the film
Mhm. Oh yeah.
show the
Sheesh.
Rodney King
I
beating,
know.
which I had totally forgotten about. How did you feel about that choice?
Oh, you don't want to see it? Like, look,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah.
you didn't want to watch it? Look. It's a great choice. It's almost like, yeah, this shit is happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's talking about back then, but this shit is happening right now.
Looking back, it makes perfect sense that he would draw those comparisons,
Right.
and like you said, like it's not just like a flash of the beating. He shows the whole
Yeah,
thing
he plays it out.
intercut,
Plays it out.
plays it out, and then the buildings burning and everything like that is really a really bold choice. And then to
Yeah.
end with Nelson Mandela, I watched this documentary about the making of the film, and apparently Nelson Mandela was fine saying the whole speech, except he wouldn't say by any means necessary
Right.
because it conflicted with his views. So that's why they cut to the last shot being Malcolm X saying by any means necessary, and then they go to the end credits. But even
Yeah.
that, like cutting to the present day, showing Africa, the kids in schools,
I am
the
Malcolm X.
I
Yeah.
am Malcolm X. Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they know what's up. They know him, Martin Luther, all them cats. They knew. They're like, all right, you have different, we differ here, but like, this is what we trying to do. This is where we're trying, but you nonviolent, I'm this, Nelson Mandela had a different view after spending all those years in prison. He's like, well, he's got a very unique view. And to him, he's like, I ain't saying that. And Spike Lee he's not about to argue with him about that. I don't know how
yeah,
that conversation went, but I'm sure Spike was like, all right, you're
yeah,
Nelson Mandela, bro.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Fine, if that's what you want, fine. Yeah, I think the thing that has it stand out is that it's not just a biopic.
Right.
It's not just a filmed version of someone's life. It's a statement,
Yeah.
and I think that's what has Spike differ from other
Yeah.
filmmakers.
Yeah.
He's really making a statement with the
Right.
film.
Right.
Qasim, thank you so much for this conversation. Is there any last thing you want to say about this incredible movie?
Yeah, I want to see more like it. I
Mm.
want to see. I want to do another Malcolm X movie. Like I would make another Malcolm X movie.
Oh,
They've been making shows and stuff. I think there's been a couple of shows, and he's in Godfather of Harlem, and so they've been
hmm,
done a great job with that. That's one of my producing partners, Nina Yang Bon Jovi, who is producer on To Live and Die and Live. Is
hmm,
they're doing that show. I will always have reverence for that film, for Spike, for what he did, for Denzel, for I've always loved Delroy Lindo, and I think people really, really saw him in Sinners this year. But I've always every time he's on screen, man, I'm just so moved by him and Angela and Roger and everyone. So I've
yeah,
much respect for that film and what it did for me as a person and how it shaped my view of what cinema can do. And
yeah.
uh, and I hope to see more like it.
I completely agree. Well, thanks so much, man. Thanks for being here and
Of
talking to
course.
me about this movie. Love talking
Yeah.
to you, and look forward to talking
You
to you
too.
again soon.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
Take care, man. Okay, that was my conversation with Qasim Basir about Malcolm X, which I think is maybe Spike Lee's second best film after Do the Right Thing. It's really a staggering achievement, and if you haven't seen it for a while, I recommend you check it out. That's it for today. I'll see you next time.